What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Gruesome, entitled Twisted Prayers. This is released on Relapse Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of California and Florida, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, primitive, Chuck Schuldiner-inspired style of death metal. Yeah. I honestly feel that a band like Gruesome should be considered the current day death worship sort of band going right now, because there are lots of bands in death metal that take influence and inspiration from the works of Chuck Schuldiner or Death or any form of his body of work, whether it be the early demo material to the Manta stuff, to the Scream Bloody Gore Leprosy stuff, to the Human Individual Thought Pattern stuff, to even the stuff after that. Many bands in metal today take a lot of influence from Chuck Schuldiner's body of work. But with Gruesome, I believe they take the death worship to a whole nother level and just create music that's not only inspired by his work, but also something fun and something entertaining. And that's how it all started with a band like Gruesome, because it started off as more along the lines of making music to commemorate the legacy of Chuck Schuldiner, but all that would later go on in the form of their debut full-length album from 2015 entitled Savage Land. That album was a blast. From the Ed Repka artwork, to the riffs, to the lyrics, to the music, it was just an absolutely entertaining record all the way through and through, and way better than I had anticipated it to be personally. And yeah, the people behind Gruesome definitely know a thing or two about how to play death metal, because mainly people like Matt Harvey from Exhumed, Robin Mason from Durketa, and then you have people like Daniel Gonzalez and Gus Rios who serve their time, whether it be in Possessed or with Malevolent Creation. These are all people who know how death metal is and how it's executed, and they do a damn fine job of making really solid music. And ever since that full-length album, this band had put out a couple of EPs testing the waters with their sound and how to forward progress into the gruesome sound with dimensions of horror and fragments of psyche. The latter EP featured Sean Reinert from Cynic playing drums, if I'm not mistaken, and that pretty much showcased a more different, progressive sort of sound to their death metal, as if they want to toy around and figure out how to work with the sounds of Chuck Schuldiner, or whether it be regular death metal or progressive or technical death metal. They found a way to make it that work, and with that track, it was very awesome stuff. But yeah. We move into 2018, and we have a brand new full-length from Gruesome entitled Twisted Prayers. From what I had understood, this album was going to be primarily centered around the idea of the album Spiritual Healing. Now, don't get me wrong, Scream Bloody Gore and Leprosy are absolute stone-cold death metal classics, iconic albums in their own right, but personally, Spiritual Healing, I have more of a fondness for than pretty much any other death album. Pretty much it was the last traces of the traditional death sound before transitioning into a more complex, technical, progressive sort of sound. And I love the fuck out of Spiritual Healing, and I still consider that my personal favorite death album to this very day. And I was curious to see how Gruesome was going to tackle something like that. And yeah, here we are with Twisted Prayers. It's 8 tracks, and it clocks in at around 42 minutes in length, and pretty much, in comparison to Savage Land, things seem to be a little bit more calmed down and fleshed out just a little bit. But with every time you listen to this, you appreciate what musicianship this band brings with this album, and I think Twisted Prayers is another very solid entry into the Gruesome discography, and it's only going to make me interested to find out what happens next after this. This is definitely one of those wait-and-see sort of bands where you listen to their stuff and then you think to yourself, what are they going to think of next? How are they going to do it next? And here, this album is just very fun and entertaining stuff. For the minute you listen to tracks like Inhumane, Fate, and Fatal Illusions. You already know these people know how to create really good music, and you can tell this is really solid music by listening to the guitar playing, the riffs, the soloing, the franticness of the riffs, the melodies. Everything all blends in and sounds perfectly. Everything is well played, well written. It's awesome, and I definitely love that they take that spiritual healing sort of approach going on with the guitar riffs, and I think it really does sound solid. Even the guest solo work by James Murphy, who is a guitar legend in metal in his own right, doing some solo work on the tracks Crusade of Brutality and At Death's Door. The near to the last closing moments of this record, his solo work sounds really, really solid on those tracks. But as far as Matt and Daniel's guitar playing goes, I think it's really, really top quality, top-notch stuff. It sounds badass. The bass work on here is very good. It has that very nice, clean, natural sort of sound going for it. It definitely adds to the overall traditional death metal vibe going on here. I love the way the bass sounds. It definitely feels warm. It feels right. It feels natural. It definitely sounds awesome. The drumming on here is very good, very much keeping up with the tradition of being a death worship sort of death metal band. The drumming on here is very, very awesome. I love the fills. I love the double bass sound. I just love how frantic and thrashy these drums sound at times, especially for some of the more lengthy mid-pace sort of songs. You get that little melodic mid-pace sort of drum performance going on, but then when things speed up, they speed up splendidly. And I love the fact that this drummer has that case of diversity going on here when it comes to the drumming and delivering a very, very solid performance. And when it comes to the vocals, it's obvious that Matt Harvey knows exactly what he's doing. If you've heard his work with Decapitator or Exhumed, or even some of his more current day projects, because I forget the name of the one band that he's currently in. I think they're on Shadow Kingdom Records, but he has a new band out. They play like speed metal. You can tell his vocal influences is more than just death metal. It's just really, really awesome. But his vocal style on here, pretty much straight to the point guttural vocals, very well worded and very understandable. Very much in the vein of Chuck Schuldiner. It's very much in the vein of spiritual healing. It's just very, very solid, awesome vocal performance. He definitely knows how to command your attention, get the job done, and just be very, very commanding. I love how commanding Matt Harvey is as a vocalist, in addition to being a very solid guitar player. Not to mention, there's a little bit of interesting stuff here with the CD version. There's a bonus track on here with the cover of Possessed's The Exorcist. And I really, really dig what they did here this time around. They did their own little spin on the Tubular Bells intro that you remember from the Possessed song, and then they make it their own with their vocals, the drum work. It's very, very respectful to the original, and I think they make their own little twist on The Exorcist to sound very, very solid. So overall, like I said, I think this is a very awesome entry into the discography of Gruesome. I'm very curious to hear what's going to happen next, or what sound they're going to tackle for the next time around. I honestly don't think I enjoyed this album as much as I did Savage Land. I honestly prefer that album more personally, but I still think Twisted Prayers gets the job done and delivers what it sets out to do. You know what you should be getting into when you listen to a band like Gruesome. If you don't already get it by now, this band is death worship, but I think they know how to do the death worship properly. So if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Inhumane, Fate, Fatal Illusions, Crusade of Brutality. Seriously killer songs going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a link in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Gruesome Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it digitally, and it should be available physically at your local retailers. There's multiple variations of it. There's CD, tape, 12-inch vinyl. I got the CD version. There, of course, you see the artwork. You have the band members in question. I love the old school CD art. Very Combat Records-esque, very top quality stuff here. So again, the album is Twisted Prayers by Gruesome. This is released on Relapse Records. Go support this. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Very entertaining death metal from people who know how to make death metal properly and know how to respect the death as a band and as a creative force in death metal. So if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how you think it compares to previous Gruesome albums, or any of you guys into Gruesome. Definitely let me know. I'm looking to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until next time, Army out.